The courtroom freezes the moment she says it. Karen leans back in her chair, smiling the way people smile right before they ruin themselves. "Judge Judy is old and useless," she announces, loud enough for every microphone to catch it. Gasps ripple through the gallery like a breaking tide. Judy does not flinch. She just lifts her eyes, calm, sharp, unblinking, and in that silence you know Karen has no idea what she has just unleashed. The insult still hangs in the air, sharp enough to cut the silence. Karen leans back in her chair like she owns the courtroom. Judge Judy does not move, but the room feels smaller around her stillness. The cameras tilt slightly, trying to catch Judy's expression, but she offers them nothing. No raised brow, no sigh, just that steady, level gaze that has dismantled egos for decades. The fluorescent lights hum above, casting a cold sheen across the bench, and for a long second, nobody breathes. Even the bailiff shifts his stance, uncertain whether to brace for laughter or lightning. Karen mistakes the quiet for surrender. She smooths her blouse, flicks her hair off her shoulder, and offers a smile crafted for an audience she believes adores her. "I am only saying what everyone else is thinking," she announces, loud enough to reach the back row. "Some people cannot keep up. That is not my fault." Her voice carries the tone of someone who has never been told no, or never listened when she was. Judy's fingers touch the edge of her desk, slow, deliberate, controlled. She does not lift the gavel. She does not respond. Instead, she shifts her eyes to the plaintiff, a woman in her late 20s. Hands clenched around a worn folder, knuckles pale from pressure. The plaintiff does not speak. She does not need to. Her silence tells the story of someone exhausted from being disrespected long before this courtroom moment. The camera widens. The audience leans forward. Something is about to snap. But not the way Karen thinks. "What exactly," Judy says, voice low and even, "do you believe makes me useless?" It is not sarcasm. It is not anger. It is surgical. Karen blinks, taken aback for the first time. She expected shouting. She expected theatrics. Instead, she gets calm precision, the kind that exposes weakness without lifting a finger. "Well," Karen stammers, "I mean, look at this whole process. It is outdated. You are outdated. I brought proof. Actually." She gestures to the folder at her side, a bright red piece of plastic that feels wrong in the solemn wood and leather room. She pats it like a trophy. "I can show you every reason why this plaintiff is lying and why you should not trust what you think you know." There is a faint rustle in the gallery, the kind of sound people make when they sense a person sharpening their own downfall. Judy leans back, giving Karen space, the kind of space that feels like a cliff edge. "Proof," Judy repeats softly. "You brought proof." Karen smiles again, proud of herself. "Yes, and once you see it, you will understand." The plaintiff's eyes rise for the first time, filled with something between dread and certainty, as if she knows exactly what sits inside that red folder. The hum of the lights grows louder. Judy motions with one hand. "Then show me." Karen hesitates. It is less than a second, barely a breath, but everyone sees it. Her confidence flickers. Judy's gaze narrows just slightly as she asks, "Why do you look nervous, Miss Carter, if your truth is so ready to be seen?" And the room falls into a silence, sharp enough to break something open. Karen freezes at the question. The red folder rests between her hands like something suddenly too hot to touch. And for the first time, her smile does not arrive on cue. The courtroom feels different now, as if someone tilted the floor and all the confidence slid off Karen's posture. She tries to recover quickly. A little laugh, a shrug. the rehearsed air of someone who believes charm can fix anything. But her voice lifts half a pitch too high. The cameras catch it. Judy catches it. The plaintiff catches it most of all. "I am not nervous," Karen insists, shaking her head. I want to make sure we start from the beginning." But Judy does not allow time for theatrics. She gestures toward the plaintiff with a slow, steady hand, the kind that signals patience thinning. "We already started. And, Ms. Reeves," she says, turning towards the plaintiff, "you may continue your testimony." The plaintiff inhales, a trembling breath that steadies halfway through, as if dignity is something she can reconstruct one breath at a time. Her voice is soft, almost too soft at first, but it does not falter. "I tried to resolve this privately," she says. "I tried to talk to her, but she never listened. She only raised her voice and talked over me, every time." Karen's eyes widen, indignant, but she stays silent. For now. The plaintiff continues, and with each sentence the room shifts its weight toward her side of the truth. "She made fun of me online. She told people I was unstable. She said I needed medication. I never said anything back. I just asked her to stop." Karen scoffs, a sound too sharp, too forced, and Judy turns her head instantly. No words, just a single icy glance. It silences Karen more effectively than any threat could. The plaintiff looks down at her hands. "I brought messages. The real ones. Not the edited screenshots she posted." A ripple of tension travels through the gallery. Judy leans forward, elbows resting on the bench, attention razor-sharp. Edited. The word lands between the three women like dropped glass. Karen's mask slips another inch. She shifts in her chair, adjusting her jacket sleeve for the third time. Blinking too fast. Tiny signs of panic she cannot hide anymore. "Before we get to messages," Judy says calmly, "I want to understand something." Her tone is not confrontational. It is surgical, slicing through performance. "Ms. Carter, if your evidence is so airtight, why are you reacting every time Ms. Reeves speaks?" Karen straightens her posture. "I am not reacting. She is lying." "You said that before," Judy replies, "but your face is saying something different." The sentence lands with the weight of a gavel. Karen opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again, an involuntary stutter of someone no longer in control of her story. The plaintiff watches quietly, her gaze steady, her expression a mixture of fear and relief, as if she is witnessing truth push itself into the open 1 inch at a time. Judy taps her index finger on the desk. Once, twice, a sound that echoes like a countdown. "Ms. Carter," she says, "you claimed you brought proof." Karen nods stiffly. "Then present it." Karen reaches for the red folder. Her hand trembles. The folder slips just slightly from her grip, and Judy's eyes narrow as she asks, "Is there something inside you do not want this court to see?" The red folder lands on the table with a dull thud. A sound too heavy for something Karen claimed was nothing but truth. Every camera tilts toward it like the room just found a pulse. Karen forces a bright smile, but it stretches wrong across her face, pulled too tight at the edges. She snaps open the folder with dramatic flair, as if performance alone could drown out the tremor in her fingers. The fluorescent lights catch the glossy paper inside, reflecting little flashes across the courtroom walls. "Here," she declares, sliding the first page toward Judy. "The messages she sent me, all the insults, all the threats, everything she tries to deny." But Judy does not reach for it immediately. She studies Karen instead, the way her jaw clenches when she finishes speaking, the way her eyes flick toward the plaintiff, as if checking whether she looks afraid. Karen mistakes the pause for intimidation. She pushes the paper closer, almost shoving it, as if proximity equals proof. The plaintiff does not move, Her hands stay folded in her lap, but her throat tightens in a slow, visible swallow. Not fear, recognition. She has seen these pages before. Not like this, but close enough to know what Karen has done. Judy finally lifts the paper. Slowly, deliberately. She does not blink as she scans the print. The courtroom holds its breath as her eyes move line by line. Then she turns the page sideways, then upside down, then back again. Karen fidgets. Judy lowers the paper. "Ms. Carter," she says. "Why," she rotates it once more, "are the timestamps cut off?" A tiny gasp escapes from the gallery. Not loud, but sharp, like someone inhaled too late. Karen laughs, too quickly. "They are not important. The content is what matters." "The content," Judy repeats. Her tone carries no anger, only quiet suspicion sharpened into steel. "These messages look incomplete, cropped. Why is that?" Karen opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Her eyes dart around as if hunting for a script she forgot to memorize. The plaintiff sits straighter. Her silence grows heavier, shaping itself into something like courage. Judy holds up the page between her fingers. "This section," she says, tapping one margin, "is blurred, and this one appears to have been cut and pasted." Karen sputters. That is the printer. I told you my printer is old." Judy leans forward. "Your printer can blur only the parts that benefit you." The gallery reacts. A low wave of murmurs, bodies shifting, tension rippling like electricity. Karen's face flushes. "I did not alter anything. I simply selected the important parts." "So you edited them?" "No, I mean, I highlighted—" Judy lowers the paper again. This time she looks directly at the plaintiff. "Ms. Reeves, do you have the original versions of these conversations?" "Yes," the plaintiff says quietly. "On my phone." A new tension spreads across the room, deeper, heavier, the kind that signals a truth about to surface. Judy nods once. "Then present them." Karen shoots out of her seat. "She cannot. That is private." Judy cuts her off with a single raised hand. "You waived privacy the moment you submitted edited evidence." Karen sits down slowly, shoulders collapsing inward as if gravity has singled her out. The plaintiff stands, pulling her phone from her pocket with steady hands. She approaches the bench. The room is silent enough to hear the soft tap as she unlocks the screen. Judy takes the phone and compares the first message thread to the one Karen provided. Her eyes narrow. Karen watches her own performance crumble in real time, panic flickering across her face in broken flashes. Judy lifts the two versions side by side and says, "These do not match, not even close. Ms. Carter, would you like to explain why your truth is different from reality?" Karen's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. The two versions of the messages glow under the courtroom lights. One real, one crafted. And in that split second of silence, the mask she has worn since she walked in finally begins to slip. Judy holds both sets of messages at eye level, studying them as if they were two halves of a fractured reflection. The gallery leans forward so subtly it looks like the entire room is tilting toward the truth. Karen sits frozen, her posture stiff, her hands clenched into tight, trembling fists against the table. "Ms. Carter," Judy says calmly, "these discrepancies are not printer issues. They are intentional edits." Karen's breath stutters. "You cannot accuse me of—" "I am not accusing," Judy interrupts, voice steady, cutting the air cleanly. "I am observing." That distinction hits harder than any accusation could. The plaintiff stands still beside the bench, waiting silently, her phone dimming and brightening in her hand as if the truth is breathing with her. She is not triumphant. She is not smug. She is tired. the kind of tired that comes from months of fighting someone who rewrites reality with a smile. Judy flips back to Karen's version. A slight lift of her brow is the only sign she notices something new, something Karen hoped no one would look closely enough to see. "The first message on your page," Judy says, sliding the paper forward, "is dated March 15th. Karen nods too eagerly. "Exactly. That is when she started harassing me." Judy continues slowly, turning to the plaintiff's phone. "But the original conversation begins on March 10th. Karen's eyes widen. That cannot be. She must have—" Judy cuts her off again. "And your timestamp shows 2:14 in the afternoon." She rotates the phone for the cameras. "The original shows 9:02 in the morning." The tension spikes. The gallery murmurs in waves. Karen's breathing grows ragged. "That is impossible," she blurts out. "Someone hacked, or she edited, or—" Judy drops the edited page onto the desk. The soft slap sound is somehow louder than all the murmurs combined. "Ms. Carter," she says quietly, "this timestamp is layered. It was digitally altered." The gallery gasps. Karen goes pale. The plaintiff covers her mouth with her hand. It is not just that Karen lied. It is that she manufactured the truth from scraps she thought no one would question. A deliberate reconstruction, not confusion, not mistake, intention. Karen tries to speak, but the words tangle in her throat. She presses a hand to her chest, as if she can hold in the panic rising through it. I did not. I was only trying to show— Show what?" Judy asks. Not angry, not loud, just devastatingly calm. "A version of events that would make you look right?" The silence stretches. Karen blinks rapidly, fighting tears she refuses to let fall. Not here, not where the cameras can see them. Judy leans back, fingers steepled. "The court does not punish mistakes, Ms. Carter, but deception? That is another story." Karen's shoulders jerk, a tiny involuntary flinch she cannot hide. The plaintiff lowers her eyes, not out of guilt, but out of quiet heartbreak, the kind that comes from realizing someone was willing to destroy you to protect their pride. Judy lifts the edited page one more time, letting it flutter deliberately before placing it flat on the bench. "This," she says, tapping the altered timestamp, "is not sloppy editing. This is fabrication." The word hits like a verdict in itself. Karen grips the table to steady herself, knuckles white, breath uneven. She is no longer the woman who mocked the judge minutes ago. She is someone cornered by her own lies, watching her carefully constructed world begin to warp and crumble. Judy folds her hands and asks, "Before I reveal what else these alterations show, Ms. Carter, do you want to tell the truth yourself? Or do you want me to do it for you?" Karen's breath shudders as Judy's question hangs in the air. The courtroom waits, still and merciless, and for the first time, Karen looks like she realizes she might not be able to talk her way out of this. Karen forces her spine straight, trying to stitch confidence back into her posture, but it sits awkwardly on her shoulders now, like a coat she no longer fits into. Her fingers curl around the edge of the table, gripping hard enough to leave crescent marks in the wood. "I don't need you to reveal anything," she finally sputters. "This is being blown completely out of proportion. I only edited out irrelevant parts. The conversations were long. I was trying to simplify." Judy tilts her head. "You simplified the parts that made you look guilty." "That is one interpretation," Karen shoots back, scrambling for ground that isn't there. The red in her cheeks deepens. Adrenaline sharpens her voice into something brittle and defensive. "But I was under stress. She was harassing me. She made me feel unsafe. I had to protect myself." Judy does not blink. "By falsifying evidence?" "I didn't falsify anything!" Karen snaps. the last thread of composure snapping with it. Her voice ricochets off the courtroom walls and earns a sharp rebuke from the bailiff's stare. Karen lowers her volume, but not her fury. She's manipulating everyone. She always does this, plays the victim, and everyone falls for it. The plaintiff flinches at the accusation, but she stays silent. The camera catches it, the flicker of hurt across her eyes, and the entire room feels the emotional shift. The narrative Karen built is slipping, and her desperation is becoming impossible to ignore. Judy leans forward slowly, her fingers tapping once on the bench, a quiet sound that somehow commands the entire room. "Ms. Carter," she says, voice low and steady, "when people tell the truth, their story gets clearer under pressure. Yours is unraveling." Karen laughs, a high, strained sound. "So now I'm on trial? For what? For defending myself? For not letting someone half my age manipulate me? For saying what everyone thinks but is too scared to admit?" Her eyes flick around the room, searching for a single nod, a single ally, a single face willing to agree. She finds none. The plaintiff whispers, barely audible, "I didn't want to fight. I just wanted her to stop." That sentence lands heavier than anything Karen has said all day. Judy shifts her gaze back to Karen. "Your behavior today suggests you weren't interested in de-escalation. You were interested in domination." Karen scoffs, but her eyes betray panic. "Domination? Please, I'm the only one here telling the truth." Judy picks up the altered page again, holding it delicately between her fingers like evidence of a crime she hasn't yet named. "We've already established this page is a fabrication." Karen's voice breaks. It's not, you're misinterpreting." But then, something unexpected. From the back row, a chair scrapes softly. A woman rises slowly. Karen freezes. Her mother, quiet until now, steps into the aisle, eyes glassy, fingers trembling. She looks at Karen not with anger, but with a sorrow that seems older than this courtroom. "Your Honor," she says softly, "may I speak?" Karen jolts upright. "Mom, no, sit down, don't." Her mother's gaze doesn't waver. "I need to tell the truth," she whispers. The gallery stills. Judy gestures for her to approach. Karen's breathing accelerates, panic fully blooming across her face. Judy turns to Karen and asks quietly, "Why don't you want your mother to speak?" And Karen's silence answers before she can form a single word. Karen's mother steps forward, each footfall sounding louder than the last. Karen grips the table, shaking her head in frantic, silent pleas. But her mother's face, lined with worry, softened by exhaustion, says she has carried this truth too long to stay quiet now. The courtroom shifts into a hush so complete it feels sacred. Even the cameras seem to soften their mechanical hum, as if sensing they're capturing something far more fragile than evidence. Karen's mother reaches the front, fingers clasped together tightly, knuckles pale and trembling. "Your Honor," she begins, her voice trembling but steady enough to hold weight. "My daughter, she doesn't always tell things the way they happened." Karen slams her hand against the table. "Mom, stop, sit down. You don't know what you're talking about." But the outburst only deepens the silence around them. Judy doesn't look at Karen. She keeps her eyes on the mother, patiently, giving her the space Karen desperately wants to take away. "Continue," Judy says gently. The mother exhales, her shoulders sagging with a grief that looks years old. "Karen, she's struggled for a long time. Ever since she was a teenager, she's twisted situations to protect herself, to avoid feeling wrong or rejected." Her eyes flick to Karen, soft with love, heavy with regret. She doesn't do it because she's evil. She does it because she's scared. Karen's face floods with color. Not embarrassment, but raw, defensive panic. Her voice cracks as she spits out, "You're humiliating me on national television. How could you?" The mother's breath hiccups, but she doesn't look away. "You humiliated yourself, sweetheart. I'm trying to help you." The gallery murmurs, not with judgment, but with uncomfortable empathy. The room can feel Karen's resistance struggling against something deeper, the truth she has spent years burying. The plaintiff wipes a tear discreetly, not out of victory, but out of understanding. This isn't cruelty she's seeing. It's a family wound being pulled into the light. Judy folds her hands. "Ms. Carter's mother," she says. "You said she twists situations. Has this happened before?" The mother nods slowly, swallowing hard. "Yes. Many times. She's lost friends because of it, jobs, relationships, and every time she convinces herself she's the victim, every time she tells herself the world is against her." Karen trembles. "Stop! Stop!" Her voice fractures into something small, fragile. "You're making things worse. You're always making things worse." Her mother's voice breaks as she answers, "I've been protecting you your whole life, Karen, even when you hurt people, even when you lied. And I can't keep doing it." The words land like a soft tragedy. Judy watches the exchange with an unreadable expression, but her eyes soften. Not with pity, but with recognition of a deeper human fracture. Karen stands abruptly, chair scraping behind her, tears collecting but not yet falling. "Why are you doing this to me? In front of them?" Her mother wipes her cheek. "Because someone has to tell the truth before you destroy yourself." The plaintiff closes her eyes, absorbing the impact. It changes everything. Karen wasn't just malicious. She was spiraling long before this case ever began. Karen collapses back into her chair, breathing in sharp, painful gulps, her confidence stripped to bone. Her mother reaches into her purse, hesitating, as if touching something dangerous, then pulls out a small sealed envelope. "I brought this," she whispers, voice trembling, "because I knew today would come." Karen's head snaps up, fear replacing fury. "Mom, what is that?" The mother doesn't answer. She steps forward. She holds the envelope out to Judy with shaking hands and says, "Your Honor, you need to see this." The envelope trembles between the mother's fingers. Karen stares at it like it's a lit fuse. And the moment Judy takes it, the entire courtroom feels the shift. Something irreversible is about to surface. Judy accepts the envelope with the same calm precision she's shown all morning, but the room feels heavier now, as if the truth inside that thin paper weighs far more than its size. She turns it over once, noting the faint crease in the corner, the handwritten initials on the back. Karen's hands fly to her mouth. "Mom, please don't. Not that. Not here." The mother's voice cracks. "You left me no choice." Judy slides a finger along the sealed edge. The paper tears softly, an intimate, almost delicate sound, and Karen flinches at every inch of it. The gallery sits in stunned silence, the tension so thick it almost hums. Inside is a single printed page. Judy unfolds it. Her eyes move from the top to bottom in a slow, measured sweep. No emotion crosses her face, no surprise, no judgment. But there is a shift, subtle, unmistakable, in the way she exhales afterward, a heaviness, a knowing. She sets the page in front of her on the bench. "Ms. Carter," Judy says quietly, "is this your message?" Karen doesn't look. She can't. She curls inward, her arms wrapped around herself like armor. It wasn't meant for anyone else to see." "So it is yours," Judy presses. Karen closes her eyes. A tear slips free. Yes. Judy nods once. Then I will read it. Karen jerks upright. No, you can't. It's private. It became relevant, Judy says calmly, when you chose to fabricate evidence against another person. The courtroom holds its breath. Judy lifts the paper slightly, reading the first lines aloud. Not cruelly, not harshly, but with the gravity of someone unveiling a truth long buried. I'm so tired of pretending I'm better than everyone, Judy reads. I'm tired of feeling small unless I make someone else feel smaller. Karen drops her head into her hands. Her shoulders quake. The plaintiff gasps softly, her hand over her heart. The mother wipes her tears silently. Judy continues, voice gentle but firm. I know it's wrong. I know I'm hurting people. But if I stop, if I admit I'm the problem, then who even am I? The line lands like a confession wrapped in heartbreak. Karen finally breaks. I wrote that when I was upset, she cries out. I was venting. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. But the courtroom sees what she can't hide anymore. Not arrogance, not defiance, but fear. Deep, aching fear. Judy lets the silence settle before speaking again. Ms. Carter, this message doesn't condemn you. It reveals you. It shows a person who knows the harm she causes, and does it anyway to keep from feeling powerless. Karen shakes her head violently. Stop! Stop talking like you know me. Her mother whispers from behind her. She does, sweetheart. Better than you think. Karen lets out a quiet sob, the sound of a façade collapsing in slow motion. Judy places the message beside the fabricated evidence, the contrast between them stark and damning. You edited screenshots, Judy says. But this you wrote without audience, without performance. This is the truth you didn't want anyone to see. Karen's breathing fractures. The plaintiff watches, tears in her eyes, not with satisfaction, but with sudden, unexpected empathy. Judy leans forward. There is one line at the bottom you did not acknowledge. Karen shakes her head, terrified. Please don't read it. But Judy lifts the page, and with quiet finality she says, Ms. Carter, you wrote, one day I'm afraid the lies will catch up to me. That day, Judy adds, eyes locked on hers, is today. Karen's confession still hangs in the air, raw and trembling. Judy lowers the page, but her eyes never leave Karen's face, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the courtroom's balance of power tilts. Karen wipes her cheeks with the back of her hand, anger and humiliation colliding violently inside her. The lights feel harsher now, the camera's too close, every breath too loud. She looks smaller than she did 10 minutes ago, like the room has shrunk around her while everyone else stayed the same size. Judy gently places the hidden message on the bench beside the altered screenshots, aligning them with careful, deliberate precision. A symbolic gesture, two versions of Karen's truth laid out side by side, the one she manufactured and the one she tried to destroy. Ms. Reeves, Judy says, turning toward the plaintiff, your original messages. May I see the rest? The plaintiff nods, handing her the phone again, screen unlocked. A ripple of tension moves across the gallery. Karen watches helplessly, knowing exactly what's coming but powerless to stop it. Judy scrolls, slowly, thoroughly. Her expression remains neutral, but her silence is damning. After several long seconds, she looks up. Ms. Carter, she says, did you know the court obtained independent communication records prior to today's hearing? Karen's entire body jolts. What? No, why would you? I didn't agree to that. You didn't need to, Judy responds calmly. Not when there was reason to believe evidence might be tampered with. Karen stares at her, as if the ground just fell away beneath her feet. The plaintiff's eyes widen too. Clearly she had no idea such records existed. This isn't criminal court, Judy continues, but we still verify digital submissions when inconsistencies appear. She holds up the printed log, faint watermarks visible under the lights. These were requested last week. Karen's breath sputters out in a shaking gasp. Last week? But this case started because of your online conduct, Judy says, which is easily traceable. Karen collapses back into her chair. Tears spill now, hot, frustrated, panicked. You tricked me. Judy lifts a brow. I investigated you. The room murmurs, a soft wave of realization rolling through the gallery. This wasn't about Karen losing control. This was about Judy reclaiming it. These logs, Judy says, tapping the pages, show every conversation between you and Ms. Reeves, unedited, unaltered, unfiltered. Karen shakes her head violently, as if denial could change the ink on the page. No, that's not fair. You don't understand. She makes me feel invisible. She acts like she's better than me. That is not an excuse to manufacture reality, Judy replies. The plaintiff watches Karen unravel, empathy flickering across her expression. The hurt is still there, but so is a painful sense of recognition, seeing not a villain, but a deeply wounded person clawing at the world to feel big enough. Karen slams her palms against the table. It's not fabrication, it's context. Judy's voice is quiet. Context does not require altering timestamps. Karen's rage crumbles into a sob. Please don't read them, she whispers. I can't handle everyone hearing what I said. Judy studies her, not as a judge now, but as a mother, a woman, a human being who has seen thousands of people fall apart under their own lies. Her tone softens. Not forgiving, but understanding. What you said, Judy replies gently, is not what concerns me most. Karen blinks, confused through her tears. Judy holds up the court-verified record. What concerns me, she says, is what you deleted. The gallery gasps. Karen goes still, completely still. Her breath catches in her throat as if someone pressed pause on her entire body. The plaintiff's eyes dart to Karen, then to Judy, sensing something enormous is about to break open. Judy continues, Your deleted messages paint a very different picture, one that contradicts everything you claimed today. Karen whispers, Please don't. But Judy doesn't lower the page. She looks directly at Karen and says, The court knows exactly what you tried to hide, and that, Ms. Carter, changes everything. Karen's face drains of color. Her eyes lock on the court-verified records as if they're a blade pointed at her. And for the first time all day, she stops talking. The courtroom feels colder now, the fluorescent lights sharpening every angle of the moment. Karen's breath stutters, each inhale catching as though the air has thickened around her. She clutches the edge of the table with both hands, knuckles whitening, the polished wood slick beneath her trembling fingers. Judy doesn't rush. She waits, letting the silence stretch, letting Karen sit with the realization that the truth she buried has surfaced without her permission. Ms. Carter, Judy says evenly, I'm giving you the opportunity to explain the deleted messages before I read them into record. Karen's lips part, but her voice catches. She looks toward her mother, who stands frozen near the side rail. Their eyes meet, one filled with fear, the other with the grief of someone who has watched this unraveling for years. I didn't delete anything important, Karen whispers. Just things that made me look emotional. Emotional, Judy repeats. Or guilty. Karen flinches. The plaintiff looks down at her hands, twisting her fingers in her lap. Not vindictive, but bracing herself for words she already suspects will hurt. Judy lifts the first page of the court logs. According to these records, she says, You initiated nearly every confrontation. Karen swallows hard. That's not the whole story. Judy raises a brow. Let's review part of it. She reads aloud, her voice steady, clinical, free of judgment, which somehow makes the words hit harder. If you embarrass me again, I will make sure everyone sees who you really are. Karen squeezes her eyes shut. Her shoulders lift in a painful, involuntary shiver. The plaintiff closes her eyes too, remembering the night she received that message. The way her stomach twisted, the way she'd cried alone in her apartment, humming the same sentence over and over to convince herself she wasn't crazy. Judy continues reading. You don't get to walk away from me. I decide when this ends. A ripple of shock spreads through the gallery. Someone murmurs, "Oh my God!" Karen grips the table so tightly the muscles in her forearms quake. "Stop," she whispers. "Please, stop!" But Judy's gaze remains steady. This is what you deleted. You claimed Ms. Reeves harassed you, but these logs suggest you were the aggressor. Karen's breathing unravels into tiny gasps, her mascara smudging from tears she can't blink away fast enough. She tries to speak, but no sound comes out. Her hands rise toward her face, then fall again, unable to hide what everyone now sees. "This isn't fair," she finally chokes out. "You're reading the worst parts. You're twisting it." "I'm reading your words," Judy replies simply. Karen's chest rises and falls too fast, panic settling across her like a second skin. "I was scared. I thought she would leave me out. I thought she would make me feel invisible." Judy softens her voice slightly. "Feeling insecure does not give you permission to manipulate someone." Karen's tears spill freely now. They drip onto the table, tiny dark spots spreading across the polished wood. The plaintiff watches, torn between hurt and empathy. She murmurs softly, "I never wanted you to feel invisible. I just wanted you to leave me alone." Karen shakes her head, her breathing hitching. "You don't understand what it's like when people stop choosing you." The words aren't an excuse. They're a confession. A painful, unguarded one. Judy lets the silence breathe for several seconds, the emotional weight settling deep into the room. Then she slides the verified records closer to Karen. "Ms. Carter," she says, "you've lost control of the story. It's time to let go of the version you crafted and face the one you created." Karen looks up, eyes glassy and red, her voice barely a whisper. "What happens now?" Judy leans forward and asks, "Now, Ms. Carter, do you want to hear the message that changed everything? The one you tried hardest to erase?" Karen stiffens, her breath trapped in her chest. Judy's words, "The message you tried hardest to erase," hang in the air like a held blade. And the entire courtroom leans in, sensing the ground beneath Karen is about to give way. Karen's hands rise instinctively, palms trembling, as though she could physically push the truth away before it reaches her. Her chest heaves with shallow, uneven breaths. The lights seem too bright now, washing her face in a harsh glare that exposes every crack in her composure. "I don't want to hear it," she whispers. "Please, don't." Her voice sounds small, too small for the woman who stormed in, assuming she owned the room. "Ms. Carter," Judy says gently, "the truth doesn't get easier if you turn away from it. Look at me." Karen hesitates, fighting, resisting, then finally lifts her eyes. They're red, glassy, wide with a fear that looks almost childlike. Judy holds up the page containing the deleted message. "You wrote this on April 2nd, late at night." Karen lets out a trembling exhale, like the air is being dragged from her lungs. The plaintiff watches her cautiously, not coldly, but with a quiet, frail compassion. She's seen enough pain in Karen to stop seeing her as a villain. Just a person drowning in her own reflection. Judy begins reading. I can't stand the way she looks at me. Karen flinches. Judy continues. It's like she sees through me, like she sees the part of me that isn't enough. Karen's hand flies to her mouth, a sob breaking loose before she can catch it. The mother begins crying softly in the back row, her shoulders trembling with each uneven breath. The gallery goes silent, not in judgment, but in the tense, uncomfortable recognition of someone finally unraveling in front of them. Judy lowers the page slightly. Is that why you harassed her? Because she made you feel not enough? Karen shakes her head violently, tears streaking down her cheeks. I didn't mean to hurt her. I didn't want her to see me like that. Like what? Judy presses softly. Karen swallows a sob. Weak. The single word seems to hollow her out from the inside. I've spent my whole life pretending I'm strong, Karen says, her voice raw. Pretending I'm confident, like I'm the one in control, but I'm not. I never was. And she gestures toward the plaintiff, her hand trembling. She figured that out without even trying. She wasn't scared of me. She didn't need me, and that... Her voice breaks. That terrified me. The plaintiff looks down, guilt flickering in her eyes even though she caused none of this. Judy leans forward, voice low. So you lied. You fabricated messages. You attacked her character. Not because you hated her, but because you hated the way she made you feel. Karen nods slowly, shame burning through her. Yes, she whispers. I was jealous, and insecure, and angry at myself. And I took it out on her because it was easier than admitting the truth. The room absorbs the confession with heavy, collective stillness. Karen drags in another breath, shaky and painful. I didn't think anyone would ever see that message. Her voice fades to a fragile whisper. Least of all her. Judy sets the paper down gently, her expression softening, not forgiving the wrongdoing, but acknowledging the humanity behind it. Ms. Carter, she says quietly, you've finally told the truth. Then her voice hardens, steady, precise. But there's a consequence for everything that follows. Karen's tears fall freely now, soaking the collar of her blouse. What consequence? She whispers. Judy straightens her posture, her tone shifting from compassionate to judicial, as she says, the next witness will answer that, because someone else has something you tried to hide. And the side door creaks open. The side door opens with a slow, aching creak. A figure steps through, not dramatic, not imposing, but steady. And Karen's entire body goes rigid, as if her past has just walked into the room. It's a man in his early 40s, dressed plainly, holding a thin folder in his hands. His steps are measured, cautious, the steps of someone who has practiced what he's about to say for far too long. The bailiff nods him forward, and he approaches the witness stand with the quiet weight of a memory no one has acknowledged yet. Karen's breath catches. No, she whispers. Not him, not here. Her mother closes her eyes, bracing. The plaintiff looks confused. This man isn't part of the case, at least not the formal one. Judy taps her pen lightly, studying Karen's reaction. Ms. Carter, she says, this witness contacted the court after seeing your online exchanges. He believed his testimony might be relevant. Karen's voice fractures. He shouldn't be here. Then perhaps, Judy says evenly, we should hear why he felt compelled to come. The man settles into the witness chair. His hands tremble slightly as he sets the folder on his lap. When he speaks, his voice is gentle, heartbreakingly gentle. My name is Daniel Carter, he says. Karen shuts her eyes. Please don't do this. The room whispers, Carter, her brother. Daniel continues, I'm Karen's older brother. Judy nods once. Mr. Carter, you may proceed. He looks at Karen first, eyes full of love and apology and pain. I'm not here to hurt you, he says softly. But I can't watch you hurt other people anymore. Karen's shoulders shake. Her mascara streaks down her cheeks, but she doesn't wipe it away. She stares down at the table, breathing in sharp, broken bursts. Daniel opens the folder, not dramatically, but with the tired delicacy of someone holding something fragile. For years, he says, Karen has struggled with insecurity, deep, overwhelming insecurity, and when she feels threatened, she rewrites the story so she doesn't feel powerless. Karen winces as if struck. Daniel's voice cracks. I've been the villain in her stories before, so has Mom, so have friends, neighbors, co-workers, anyone who made her feel small. Judy studies him with quiet intensity, letting the weight of his words settle in the room like dust. Daniel continues, she isn't malicious. She's terrified. Afraid of being insignificant, afraid of losing control, afraid of being seen for who she really is. Karen whispers, Stop. Please. Daniel doesn't. Not out of cruelty, out of necessity. Last year, he says, she accused one of her closest friends of betraying her. She spread rumors. She doctored messages then, too. His voice softens even further. But when confronted privately, she broke down exactly like this. Karen covers her face with both hands, sobbing silently. Judy leans forward. Mr. Carter, why bring this to the court? Daniel looks at his sister, not coldly, but with devastating tenderness. Because she needs help, not enabling, not protection, help. And she won't stop until the truth finally forces her to. Karen shakes her head, tears spilling freely. I didn't mean for any of this. I just needed to feel in control. Daniel's voice shatters. Karen, you've never been in control. You've just been terrified. The plaintiff wipes a tear, overwhelmed by the rawness of the moment. Judy folds her hands, her voice softer now. Miss Carter, do you recognize what your brother is trying to tell you? Karen lifts her face, blotched, trembling, exhausted. I'm the problem, she whispers. It's me. It's always been me. The room sinks into silence, heavy, deep, compassionate, yet unavoidable. Judy's eyes soften. No, Miss Carter, not a problem. She pauses. A wound. Karen breaks entirely, tears pouring, her breath heaving. This is no longer arrogance, no longer defiance. This is a human being collapsing under the weight of a truth she's never allowed herself to feel. Judy's voice lowers into something almost maternal. And wounds can heal, but only when exposed. Karen sobs into her hands. Daniel lowers his head, crying quietly too. The emotional truth of the entire case shifts, not about harassment or screenshots, but the deep internal fracture that fueled everything. Judy exhales slowly, the atmosphere trembling around her. She looks at Karen and says, There is something in your own words you still haven't faced. Something that changes the meaning of all of this. Her hand moves toward the envelope. Let's talk about why you wrote that message. The echo of Judy's words hangs in the courtroom like a low, rolling thunder. Karen sits collapsed in her chair, no longer fighting, no longer pretending. And for the first time since the hearing began, no one speaks. The silence is thick enough to feel, not hostile, not judgmental, just heavy, like the air after a building has crumbled and everyone is afraid to move among the dust. Karen's tears fall in slow, uneven drops onto the table. Her shoulders rise and fall in soft, broken waves. She's not performing anymore. There is no audience in her mind now. She's simply unraveling. The truth finally too loud to silence. Her mother stands near the side rail, clutching a tissue in one trembling hand. Her eyes shine with a mixture of grief and relief. A mother watching her child fall apart in the most public way imaginable, but knowing somewhere deep inside that this collapse is the only path toward healing. Daniel remains on the stand, staring down at his hands, ashamed and heartbroken but steadfast. He came to tell the truth, and now he carries the weight of how that truth has landed. The plaintiff watches Karen with an expression that surprises even her, forgiveness trying to take shape inside her chest, even while the hurt still pulses. Judy lets the silence breathe. She doesn't rush to fill it with judgment or reprimand. She understands that this moment, this painful, raw aftermath, matters more than the conflict that brought everyone here. Finally, she speaks. "Ms. Carter," Judy says softly, "you've been carrying this burden for a long time." Karen swallows hard, tears streaming freely. I know," she whispers. I didn't know how to stop." "Pain doesn't disappear when we ignore it," Judy replies. "It grows, and it begins consuming the people around us." Karen nods slowly, every movement weighted with exhaustion. "I hurt her. I hurt my family. I hurt myself." Her voice cracks on the last word, the admission slicing through the courtroom with heartbreaking clarity. The plaintiff's eyes fill with tears. She steps forward, just one small step, enough to show she's not afraid. "I didn't want this," she says quietly. "I didn't want you destroyed. I just wanted the truth. I wanted you to stop hurting me." Karen looks at her, really looks, and something inside her collapses again. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I'm so incredibly sorry." The plaintiff nods, not fully ready to accept the apology, but moved by the sincerity in it. The courtroom breathes as one, a collective moment of human vulnerability. Judy straightens slightly, her tone shifting from gentle to grounded. "Ms. Carter, understanding your pain doesn't erase your actions, but it does give context. It gives us a path forward." Karen wipes her cheeks with shaking hands. "What happens to me now?" Judy doesn't answer immediately. She glances at the envelope still sitting on her bench, the message that exposed the wound beneath all the behavior, the message that reframed the case not as cruelty alone, but as a desperate attempt to mask internal collapse. "It depends," Judy says, "on whether you're prepared to take responsibility, genuinely, completely, not for how you feel, but for what you did." Karen nods again, slowly, as if learning how to move through honesty for the first time. "I am," she says. "I don't know what that looks like yet, but I am." Her mother begins to cry harder, relief shaking her frame. Daniel wipes his eyes, too, finally allowing himself to exhale. The plaintiff steps back, giving Karen space and something that looks almost like grace. Judy folds her hands. "Then there is one final step before I issue my ruling." Karen lifts her head, eyes swollen but steady. "What step?" she asks. Judy's voice lowers, calm but charged with consequence. "You need to hear the full weight of your own words, not from me, but from the person you hurt." She turns to the plaintiff. "Ms. Reeves, are you ready?" The plaintiff steps forward, the soft tap of her shoes echoing like a heartbeat. Karen lifts her head slowly, bracing herself, not for a fight, but for truth. And the courtroom leans in, sensing this is the moment everything finally comes home to roost. The plaintiff stands beside the bench, hands clasped in front of her. She doesn't look triumphant. She doesn't look vindicated. She looks nervous. as if speaking this truth out loud is something she's avoided for far too long. Her voice trembles on the first word. Your Honor, I'm ready. Judy nods, shifting her attention gently toward her. Then tell Miss Carter how her actions affected you. Speak honestly, respectfully, fully. The plaintiff turns toward Karen, and something tender fractures across her expression. Pity? Compassion? Grief? Even she isn't sure. Karen, she begins softly. I never hated you. Karen flinches, eyes already filling again. I never wanted to fight with you. I never wanted you to feel small. I just wanted to be left alone when things got uncomfortable. She takes a breath, steadying herself. But you couldn't handle that. You couldn't handle not being in control, and every time I tried to step away, you pulled me back with threats or posts, or messages saying things no one should ever have to read about themselves. Karen shakes her head weakly, guilt twisting through her features. The plaintiff continues, voice strengthening as she finds courage in each word. That night you told me you'd ruin my reputation? I sat on my bathroom floor for hours, wondering what I'd done to deserve it. Wondering if maybe I was the crazy one. You made me doubt myself so deeply I was afraid to talk to anyone about it. Karen whispers. I didn't know. I didn't know it hurt you like that. The plaintiff's eyes shimmer with tears. I know you didn't. Because you weren't looking at me. You were looking at a version of me you invented. Someone powerful enough to threaten you. Someone confident enough to make you feel insecure. But that wasn't me. She shakes her head gently. I'm just a person. A person who wanted peace. Karen's shoulders collapse inward. She presses a hand over her trembling mouth, her sobs quiet, aching. And when you edited those messages, the plaintiff says, her voice wobbling, and posted them online, I thought my life was over. People called me unstable. They said I was dangerous. I stopped going out. I stopped talking to friends. I stopped trusting myself. Karen breaks. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't think. That's the point, the plaintiff interrupts softly. You didn't think. Not about me. Not about how your words would land. Not about the damage they could do. She breathes in, shaky but resolute. But I see now. You weren't attacking me because you hated me. You were attacking me because you hated what you saw in yourself. The line sinks into the room like a quiet, devastating truth. Karen sobs openly, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Her mother cries quietly in the back. Daniel wipes his eyes. Even the gallery seems pierced by the intimacy of the moment. The plaintiff steps back, her voice almost a whisper now. I don't need you to be punished, Karen. I just need you to stop hurting people to protect yourself, because someone will break under it one day. And it won't be you. It'll be someone who didn't deserve any of it. Judy nods, absorbing every word. Thank you, Ms. Reeves, she says softly. You may return to your seat. The plaintiff sits, emotionally drained but lighter somehow, as though speaking her truth untangled a weight she's carried too long. Karen wipes her eyes with shaking hands. The world around her feels unreal, but her guilt is agonizingly real. Judy lets the moment breathe. Then she turns toward Karen. No anger, no coldness, just solemn gravity. Ms. Carter, she says, you asked earlier what happens next. Karen nods weakly. Judy leans forward, voice firm, yet compassionate. Before I deliver my ruling, she says, there's one last thing you must face, a reflection from the very beginning of this case. Her gaze sharpens. We need to talk about what you said to me. Karen stiffens as Judy's words settle in the room. What you said to me. The insult that started everything now circles back like a boomerang she never expected to return. The courtroom grows still again, not with the shock of evidence, but with the weight of something more human, the moment someone must finally face their own reflection. Karen swallows hard, her throat tight, eyes swollen. She doesn't look at Judy directly. She can't. Her gaze hovers somewhere near the desk, as if the wood grain might offer her a hiding place. Judy sits taller, but not in anger, in clarity, in purpose. "Ms. Carter," she says, voice soft but edged with truth, "you called me old and useless at the very start of this hearing." The words echo, not as an accusation, but as a mirror. Karen winces. Her mother lowers her head. Daniel closes his eyes. The plaintiff swallows thickly, the insult now carrying new meaning in the light of everything revealed. Judy continues, "People insult authority when they feel powerless. They lash out when they fear being seen." Her gaze narrows slightly. "You weren't insulting my age or my ability. You were projecting your own sense of inadequacy." Karen's tears begin again, softer now, less frantic. They fall in quiet surrender. "I didn't mean it," she whispers. I thought if I attacked first, no one could attack me." Judy nods slowly. A preemptive strike, fear disguised as confidence. Karen nods too, a tiny, broken gesture. "I'm so tired of pretending." The room breathes with her, a slow, collective exhale of understanding. The gallery isn't angry anymore. They're witnessing someone finally, painfully, drop the shield she's been lifting her entire life. Judy leans in. "Ms. Carter, strength is not the absence of insecurity. It's the willingness to face it without harming those around you." Karen's voice cracks. "I don't know how to do that." "It starts," Judy replies, "with acknowledging the people you've hurt, and the people you dismissed." Her eyes soften. "Including me." Karen forces herself to look up, really look at Judy, for the first time all day. Her voice trembles. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "You didn't deserve that. You were just trying to do your job, and I attacked you because you made me feel exposed." Judy nods once, a quiet acceptance, not absolution. "Our age does not define our worth, Ms. Carter, nor does appearance or reputation or performance." Her gaze sharpens just slightly. "Character does. Truth does." Karen sobs softly, her shoulders curling inward, as if folding around her own remorse. The plaintiff watches her with an expression that's neither pity nor triumph, just a deep, quiet sorrow for how far things had to go for Karen to see herself. Judy continues, "This entire hearing has shown us something important. Your cruelty was not born of malice. It was born of fear." She pauses. "But fear does not excuse harm." Karen nods repeatedly, as though each word strikes a tuning fork inside her. "I know," she says. "I know." Judy folds her hands atop the bench, her voice gaining a touch of steel, not cold, but definitive. The truth has been spoken. The harm has been acknowledged. And now? She lets the silence stretch, long enough for the weight of the moment to settle fully on Karen's shoulders. "Now," she says, "I deliver justice." Karen's breath catches. Daniel grips the witness stand rail. The mother clasps her trembling hands. The plaintiff straightens, bracing herself. Judy reaches for the gavel. Her eyes lock on Karen's and she says, "My ruling will reflect not only what you did, but who you've shown yourself to be today." She raises the gavel. And it's time. The gavel hangs in the air, suspended between judgment and redemption. Karen holds her breath, shoulders trembling, eyes locked on Judy with a mixture of fear and fragile hope. And the entire courtroom feels the weight of a moment that will define everything that comes next. Judy lowers the gavel slowly, deliberately, not as a weapon of punishment, but as an instrument of truth. when it meets the bench with a soft, resonant crack. The tension in the room dissolves into a heavy, listening silence. "Ms. Carter," she begins, her voice steady and composed, "this court recognizes the harm you've caused. To Ms. Reeves, to yourself, and to those who have tried to love and protect you." Karen's eyes fill again, but she doesn't look away. Not this time. She sits straighter, even as her hands tremble in her lap, as though she is forcing herself to stay open to whatever comes next. Judy continues, "You manipulated communication, fabricated evidence, and weaponized your insecurities against another person. These are serious acts, and they cannot be ignored." Karen nods, her throat tight. "I understand," she whispers. "But," Judy says, and the single word softens the air, "this case is not solely about your wrongdoing. It is about your recognition of it, your willingness to confront the parts of yourself you've avoided for years." The plaintiff watches quietly, her hands folded gently. She's not seeking victory. She's seeking closure. Judy shifts her gaze toward her next. "Ms. Reeves, you showed remarkable restraint, honesty, and compassion. You walked into this courtroom seeking truth, not vengeance. And you have carried yourself with dignity throughout." The plaintiff lowers her eyes, humbled. Judy returns her focus to Karen. In light of the emotional harm caused, this court rules in favor of the plaintiff. Karen exhales shakily, not in shock, but in acceptance. "You will compensate Ms. Reeves for demonstrable distress and damages," Judy continues. "However, I am not imposing the maximum. That would only fuel the same shame cycle that led you here." Karen's tears spill freely again. "Instead," Judy says, voice lowering, "you are required to attend a structured counseling program, one tailored to address self-perception, emotional regulation, and conflict management." Karen covers her mouth with a trembling hand, not out of protest, but relief. The kind of relief that comes when someone finally gives you the roadmap you've been too afraid to ask for. Judy's eyes soften, not with pity, but with the gravity of someone who has seen hundreds of people break under their own wounds. "Accountability," she says, "is not punishment. It's the first step toward becoming someone capable of love, not fear." Daniel wipes his eyes. Their mother sobs quietly into a folded tissue. The plaintiff nods, a small, bittersweet smile forming, a gesture of peace, not triumph. Karen looks at them all, her voice trembling. "Thank you," she whispers. "All of you. I'll try, I really will." Judy nods once, firmly. "Trying is no longer enough, Miss Carter. You will do the work, for yourself, and for everyone you've hurt." Karen nods, a genuine, vulnerable acknowledgement. Judy closes the file, signaling the end not just of a case, but of a chapter in a deeply wounded life. She lifts her eyes to the room and speaks the final, resonant truth. Arrogance collapses under accountability, fear dissolves under honesty, and respect, she pauses, letting the silence absorb the weight of it, is earned through character, not power. Karen bows her head. The plaintiff exhales, finally free. The gavel taps once more, gentle, final.